You post something you're proud of, you tweak the hook, you adjust the caption, you re-edit the same clip, but you get the same result. And it's frustrating, right? Because deep down, you know you get clients' results. You even know that everything you're saying is making sense, but it feels like nobody is hearing it. That silence doesn't mean your content is bad. It means your content's built for attention, not for buyers. Your content's purpose isn't to impress peers. It should rather convert buyers. And when it doesn't, we convince ourselves it's a problem of hooks, captions, algorithms, but none of those are the problem. The problem is direction. This is episode 3 of The Acquisition Engine, a 6-part mini-series showing you guys who are doing 3 to 5k inconsistent months to now scaling to 25, 30k months without all the complex funnels or shitty outreach or working 60 plus hours a week. And today we're gonna fix the real problem. How to build a content system that converts attention into trust and trust into clients. So why isn't your content converting? You see, most freelancers and agency owners, they would post like artists, not operators. They might post really cool edit clips, transitions, trendy videos or audios instead of outcomes for their buyers, inquiries, booked work, and most importantly, revenue. And even when your content looks great, it's not going to compound because it's all random. One day it's a behind the scenes clip. The second video is a client video. The third video might be a trending sound, and it all looks consistent, but it doesn't build belief with your buyer, the prospect who's watching this. And the truth is, it's not a case of you lack creativity. There's a problem with the conversion system. So the fix to this is really understanding what your buyer is actually buying for. Before you ever post again, you have to stop creating from assumption and start creating from observation. Because how can you create demand if you don't yourself understand that? So your content needs to come from the head of your buyer, not your own. So that means understanding 3 things. The first is what outcomes they actually want in the next 30 to 90 days. The second is what's getting in their way. Is it the time? Is it their team? Approvals? Uncertainty? The third is how do they make decisions? What they need to see or feel before they say yes. So now what happens is when you start building from their world, every post starts to sound like you've been reading their mind. And that is what builds resonance, not volume. The creatives and the freelancers whose content compounds don't just post more. It's all coming from a point of precision. Now, one of my mentors recently instilled this ideology into my head where it really made a lot of sense to how I was doing things with my content agency like years before. And the way he's explained it to me is super simple. So I'm just going to explain that to you guys now. And that is making sure that your prospect say yes to 3 things. When someone scrolls through your page, your post and your content is silently asking for these 3 yeses. And that is yes, that's the outcome I want. Yes, that plan makes sense and feels doable. Yes, you're the person I trust to help me do it. If any of those 3 yeses is weak, then your trust will drop. And most creators and freelancers, they don't realize that. They might be amazing at one of them. Maybe their outcomes are really clear. Maybe their personality connects. But the overall structure of the content system that you guys are currently doing or have been doing doesn't build all 3 consistently. So that's what we're about to fix. So now moving forward, every piece of content you serve should have one of these 3 purposes: to either build belief, to create connection, or bring clarity. If your content isn't doing one of these 3 things, it's noise. This is what I call your conversion ecosystem. It's literally the system that makes buyers trust you before they ever talk to you. So let's break it down. So the first point with belief, we need to change how they think, and that's belief content. Now that's basically moving away from the whole teaching and the whole educational side of creating content. It's all about shifting how your buyer sees their problem. You're not saying what to do. You're showing why the way they're doing it doesn't work. So when someone watches your piece of content and they go, damn, that's exactly what I have been missing. That is belief content doing its job. And the best way to go about building it is exposing a misconception that's keeping your buyer stuck. Maybe show the consequences of that belief, then introduce your lens, your system that completely flips that model of their way of thinking. You're not selling your service, but rather you're selling a new way of thinking that makes your service inevitable. The second point is connection. And now where we create the content that's connecting to the buyers, we're literally removing the whole presence of anonymous. Connection content is literally what makes your buyers feel your standards, your decisions, your judgment. Who is the person behind all of these mechanisms and systems? Because whenever in business, you always buy people, you buy into them before they buy into your method or your systems or your mechanisms. And no, this doesn't mean literally snapping your whole life story or showing what you're getting up to in the day. It means showing how you think. Share the decisions that define you. Why you refuse unlimited revisions, for example. Why you stop clients from focusing on vanity metrics. How you recover from a strategy that doesn't land with a particular client. How do you adapt from that? These are the micro stories that humanize you without wearing you down. So now every story of how you fix the mistake builds 10 times more trust than a highlight reel of like all of your clients. So now we've got the attention. How can we turn that into decisions? Now, clarity content remove all of the confusion. It makes the path to work with you much more obvious and a lot more safe. This is where you should show how it actually works. And that is completely eliminating the need to pitch, but rather revealing the process, the proof, and the promise. We want to show what is the problems in our buyers' words, the method that solves that, and the result it will typically drive for them. And how does the next step look with working with you? You see, you're not selling in any of these posts, but rather you're making decisions easier, because clarity will kill hesitation. And when people understand, they will move. So let me give you an example here. Joe came to me earlier on this year, a very talented freelancer, amazing work ethic, but he had no system. He was literally stuck doing one-off gigs, very inconsistent months, and constantly chasing clients to work with him or chasing up invoices. And the thing is, he wasn't invisible online. Yes, he had a bit of a presence, but the content he made had no momentum. It was literally the same as what everyone else was posting. Edits, results, a few transitions here and there, but where's the belief? So after enrolling into the program, working with him one-to-one, we rebuilt his ecosystem around belief, connection, and clarity, and everything changed. His belief content started tackling the exact misconceptions that were holding his dream clients back. The connection content started showing how he exactly thought and operated, and the decisions that really made him uniquely different. And finally, his clarity content started allowing his offer to really make sense to the prospects. How it worked, what results to expect, who it was for. Within 4 months, Joe went from inconsistent freelance one-off projects to now adding 30K a month in MRR, all in retained agency revenue. It's the same man, he's the same guy, in the same city. The only thing that changed was the system that he used. Now that's what happens when your content isn't just creative, it's coherent. Now here's a small exercise. Go through your own feed right now and ask yourself, do my posts build belief in my system? Do they build connection with how I think? Do they give clarity on what I actually do? If you've said no to one or maybe all 3 of those things, then that's your leak. Because clarity compounds. Randomness will just burn you out. Remember, the job here isn't to go viral. If it goes viral, it's a benefit, it's a bonus. The sole purpose of the content is it just needs to get them inside the content ecosystem. Get them into our world. Let the content nurture them. The goal isn't more content, it's more compounding conviction. So here's what I want you to do. Revisit your ideal customer persona notes. I want you to write down the 5 biggest misconceptions in their exact words. Turn each one of them into a post about belief. Outline 2 connection posts that show your standards or your decision making. You could even draft 1 clarity post explaining your process and who it's for. Publish 1, maybe even 2 this week, but with the intention to earn belief, connection, or even clarity. Then reply to all of these DMs that you might be getting, questioning or asking any of these followers who have come back from off of the back of these reels, and really being meaningful with the intention you have, asking them what made them drop the follow. From compounding all of these pieces of content, yes, your engagement will not be as high, but it's being targeted to the right people. You'll get the follows, and then eventually you'll start seeing follows from your ICP. You'll start seeing DMs, you'll start seeing questions asked on your pieces of content. Now this is where we need to start building trust in the DMs and really asking them the questions of, hey, what brought you into this world? Did you drop a follow for the content, or was it something about what I do that really sparked an interest? And because they followed you, there's a reason for that. Let's just dive into it and just be as human as possible. The content creators and the agency owners who win are not the loudest. They're the most clearest. You don't need to post more, you just need to post with purpose. You don't need better hooks, you need sharper direction. Because when your message carries belief, connection, and clarity, you will stop trying to chase these clients, and clients will start chasing you. In the next episode, we're going to take this content system and amplify it. We're going to add light lift ads and start doing some relationship outreach so that qualified calls roll in every week without you having to live in the DMs. You've now got the foundation. Next episode, we're going to scale it. If you connected with this episode, or you're dealing with something that you're stuck on and want more answers or clarity on, drop a comment below and I'll go through it, and I'll see you in the next episode.